Alright, hey guys, it's Zach Hardy here. Now I've already done a TNA Impact review this past Thursday. I've already done a WWE SmackDown review, and why not complete the trifecta and make a WWE Raw review? First off, I'd like to say thank you very much for the 100+ views that I got on my WWE SmackDown review. Not nearly as much on the Impact review. SmackDown was a lot more. But thank you very much. It was the first video that I put out, not Zach Hoyt when he was on the channel. But it's the first video that I have put out that has hit 100 views and has gotten that many views. Obviously, if it's the first one to hit 100 views, I've passed 500 views in total on my YouTube channel. And I've had this channel since 2012, so I haven't really been putting out videos that really get a lot of views, and so I thought, entering the wrestling reviews, would start getting some viewers and some subscribers, and so I started with USW reviews. I'm going to do SWO reviews as well. I'm doing TNA Impact reviews and WWE reviews as well, so being that each and every single day in the weekday, and I believe besides Sundays, at some points, at some Sundays, every other day, which is 6 out of 7 days, there's a wrestling something to review, and sometimes there are 7 out of 7 days that have a wrestling event to review, and I want to say right now, I do not have WWE Network, so it is not possible for me to watch the WWE pay-per-views. I don't think I'm going to be doing TNA Impact pay-per-view reviews because it's not worth putting your money to. But considering I'm not going to watch the pay-per-view, I'm going to try as much as I can. I'm going to try to get information to do a review and to do, I guess, the outcome or the results kind of video until I get WWE Network. And at that point, I'll just do the reviews instead of just, the results and recap, and then maybe a review as well, throughout it. But, anyway, guys, thank you very much for the views. Hope this video gets a lot of views as well. Also, check out Dalyxman's channel. I'll put the link in the description box below. Also, check out the Unitard's website. I'll put that link down below as well. But anyway, guys, let's get into the review. This is my review on the June 23rd, 2014 edition of WWE Raw. Actually, Raw number 100, or 1,100, so 1,100. I guess they've hit that big milestone, so 11 Raws from now, it'll be Raw number 1111. So yeah, your TV's not going to be broken. You don't need to adjust the TV within 11 weeks, but just remember that one. Anyway, guys, this was a good review. I mean, a good Raw, I guess. I mean, I guess you could say that because I can say that for myself because I watched it and that's my opinion on it. But I don't know what you guys think of it. I thought it was okay. I thought there was some very good points in the Raw tonight that really caught my eye, really made me kind of get excited for Money in the Bank, kind of made me, a little bit more interested into Raw. And there were points in Raw where I just kind of felt, what are they doing? What are they trying to accomplish here? And what is their main reason for doing this right now at the the rate that it's going? And by the way, just for you guys who are seeing my face for a review, I'm not like Chase. I'm not the kind of person who doesn't like the camera being pointed towards me. I wrestle, so the camera's always kind of pointed at me and in my direction, so I'm kind of used to it, but that's the reason why you don't see Chase's face on here. Excuse me. But anyway, guys, let's get into the review. So we start off at 8 o'clock in my time zone, because I go by Eastern time. So it was 8 o'clock. I believe it's 7 p.m. Central Time, and pretty much 7 p.m. 7 p.m. in Brazil on June 22nd, which is anyway. before I get too off track or get any of you guys confused, let's get into it. So at 8 o'clock, which is, I'll go by Eastern time so that way you guys can know. 8 o'clock started off the first hour. So Stephanie McMahon wastes no time getting to the situation that Vickie Guerrero put herself in last week. And I don't really know too much about what she did last week, except that I know she put Roman Reigns in the Battle Royal, which is something the Authority told her not to do. I was at a celebration, so I was able to watch Raw last week, except for maybe a little bit of amount of time. But anyway, Stephanie McMahon comes out, and she, I guess, wastes no time, but to, I guess, allow this kind of promo to start off Raw. And I would have started off with a promo, something like going along the line for the main event, to kind of put hype to it. I guess it kind of made sense at the beginning, because I think it was, people who make wrestling reviews, I think it was their main question going into Raw, one of their main questions at least going into Raw, what's going to happen with Vickie Guerrero. You can think that she's going to be fired because of that, and because of the Authority and how they run things. So it was kind of expected that she was going to be fired. And I know a lot of people thought, yeah, she's going to get fired, no doubt about it. So they had no doubt she was getting fired. And, excuse me, she's been in the WWE for 9 years. She's probably just taken time off from the camera, I guess. Maybe she's going into a position in the WWE that is not seen on camera, such as maybe one of the broadcasters or somebody who runs the stage, or stage equipment, or something like that. That may be a reason why, but she comes out and talks about Vickie Guerrero and about how she screwed up. So she brings down Vickie Guerrero to the ring, and Vickie Guerrero stops her from saying, "You're fired," and says, "I'll do anything. I'll even beg." And then Stephanie McMahon makes her beg. She said, "You're pathetic. You can't even do that right. For all these years you've been writing off," I forgot what she said, but she said something about how she was writing off of her late husband, Eddie Guerrero, which is something I thought was fucked up. I'm sorry, beep. It's something that I thought was messed up, because Eddie Guerrero is a legend. Literally a legend. / Hall of Famer. And kind of to mention Eddie Guerrero's name like that, I mean, I guess she puts herself, or I guess makes up for it by talking about how Eddie Guerrero may have earned that respect, but Vickie Guerrero hadn't. So I guess kind of saying that Eddie Guerrero earned some kind of respect was, I guess, a save to that, and I guess kind of saved her from a lot of speculation. Excuse me. But anyway, she tells Vickie Guerrero she can keep her job as SmackDown General Manager if she can win her match later on in the night. Vickie Guerrero asks who her opponent will be. Stephanie McMahon says, "Me." Now, I don't know if it's because of the fact that, I guess I'm a fan of the WWE, so I guess I would have thought, hey, this is going to be awesome to watch. I get to watch Stephanie McMahon compete on Raw. What's so bad about that? And not in any kind of way that you may be thinking. It's just, who's ever seen Stephanie McMahon, or who's seen Stephanie McMahon wrestle on Raw in the PG era? But anyway, during the match, you saw something that you kind of expected once it got, close to that, to it happening. But she said Stephanie McMahon was going to be she was going to be Vickie Guerrero's opponent later in the night. And so, I thought, we're going to watch Stephanie McMahon wrestle. This is going to be fine, whatever. Turned out to be something that I didn't really expect later on. I didn't expect from the PG era. But anyways, afterwards, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, I believe it was a tag team match if I'm not mistaken, but Luke Harper and Eric Rowan defeat Jey Uso and beat Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso. And Luke Harper and Eric Rowan enter with a new theme song, I guess, for their tag team duo. It's pretty much, I believe, a violin is the instrument, but it's a violin version of he's got the whole world in his hands, which is what Bray Wyatt's been singing. Excuse me. And to those of you who don't know, I believe the whole world's in his hands, or he's got the whole world in his hands, is a Bible song or verse or something like that. And I can't really talk about those words because I'm just I'm out of it right now. But anyway, they enter with a new theme song, and then I believe it was Jey Uso. Excuse me. I believe it was Jey Uso. Challenged Eric Rowan to a match after the match where Eric Rowan beat Jimmy or Jey Uso or whatever by pinfall. And also at that point, hashtag Raw 1100 was trending around the world. And I can't believe I wrote that. Or I can believe I wrote that one down. Then Jey Uso, I believe it was Jey Uso, wins against Eric Rowan. Excuse me. After Jey wins the challenge he had against Eric Rowan, Jey Uso helps Jimmy Uso by jumping over the top rope and on Luke Harper, who was trying to, I guess, grab Jimmy Uso out of the ring. Afterwards, Luke Harper comes in and attacks Jimmy Uso and then throws him out. Then Luke Harper throws Jey Uso in, and they both start attacking Jey Uso. They get out of the ring, and then they both hit their finishers on Jimmy Uso, and they walk away. Also, Bray Wyatt says something about Bray Wyatt says, I'm proud of you, my disciples. After Money in the Bank, we will all walk out champions, which he's referring to him being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion and the two being the WWE Tag Team Champions. Excuse me. And there's a chance that may happen. I think the chance is, I guess, the two winning the Tag Team Championships and, over Bray Wyatt winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because I don't think that WWE would go in that direction. But anyways, afterwards they kind of exit, they go to like a commercial. Then they open from commercial, excuse me, and Rusev and Lana appear from the White House, well, not the White House, the government capital. I don't live in Washington, so I don't really know too much about the government and all that stuff. But they cut a promo about the failures of the United States of America and all of the troubles that the United States of America has, and then they talk about how Russia is superior and that you would have no choice but to bow down to Mother Russia. And so yeah, that was my my Russian accent try. And so that would lead on to something later on in the night. Afterwards, Paige comes out to talk with the announcers while Alicia Fox faces Naomi with Cameron also on commentary or joining commentary. Cameron, I don't have WWE Network again, so I didn't watch WWE main event, but I did hear that, Cameron and Naomi are having, I guess, argument or troubles with each other, and so it may end up leading to a rivalry, and Cameron's talking about how Naomi got lucky when she beat Paige, and Paige got lucky when she beat Naomi, and how it was all about her, and she's not gonna ride the coattails of Naomi anymore, and so they go back and forth, and that kind of distracts me from the match, because then afterwards, okay, thought I moved the thing by magic, and then I believe, Naomi beats Alicia Fox by pinfall, and then Paige walks up, gets to the ring apron, poses with the championship belt, and then holds her hand out for Naomi to shake her hand, and then they shake hands. Naomi celebrates, Cameron yawns, and Paige gets down and walks back. I don't really understand the point of that promo, or small little promo. But anyways, afterwards, Sheamus and Roman Reigns are on the back, and they also have a promo, and Sheamus talks about who he was going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the pay-per-view, and how it was going to be magical. Roman Reigns says, though, he doesn't believe in magic. Roman Reigns says he believes in Roman Reigns. So that kind of says something about himself and about his ego. And it kind of shows a little bit about his attitude going into the pay-per-view, which kind of makes me want to get WWE Network and watch the pay-per-view. But I don't really find a need to watch WWE and have the WWE Network. I could just watch the shows anyway. Anyways, afterwards, goes to commercial. They come back with a replay showing Adam Rose beating Titus O'Neil 2 times on SmackDown. And that was literally a slap in the face to Titus O'Neil. And then afterwards, Bo Dallas and Titus O'Neil face off. And then Bo Dallas gets a microphone before the match and he says, "Titus, you fell off your horse. Then you got up and you got back on your horse. Then you fell off your horse again. But don't worry. Tonight you'll prove that you can get back up on that horse." And then Titus O'Neil pretty much takes over the match, and Bo Dallas ends up getting a Bo Dog and wins. He's 9-0, and he says, "Titus, you may have fallen off your horse." And then Titus O'Neil slaps the microphone out of his hands. He gets the mic. Bo Dallas gets the microphone, and he goes back and he says, "Sorry, I must be Mr. Butterfingers," or something like that. So I think the WWE meant to have him slap it out of his hands, and not really have him slap it out of his hands, just smack the microphone and not have Bo Dallas job it. I'm not going to get you guys confused, but he says, "You can get back on your horse. All you have to do is believe." And then, after he does the little, celebration laps or victory laps, and so afterwards. Then we go into the second hour, and I think this may have been the better hour out of the 3, and it starts off with, the Authority, Triple H, coming out and announcing the rest of the participants in the WWE Money in the Bank ladder match, because there's now a Money in the Bank ladder match. He says that the people in the ladder match, or the participants in the ladder match, are Seth Rollins, Kofi Kingston, Jack Swagger, Dolph Ziggler, Rob Van Dam, and Bad News Barrett. He then announces, his favorite is I'm sorry, I can't laugh. And then he talks a little bit about the person that I think is going to win. I'll even go as far as the person that I know is going to win, Seth Rollins. And Rollins comes out, talks about how he was going to win the Money in the Bank match. And afterwards, Rob Van Dam comes out, and I guess I should have expected it from Triple H's promo when he makes the joke about thinking that Rob Van Dam was going to win. And then Seth Rollins said, I would see more of a threat if this was 2005. And then Rob Van Dam goes on a little bit about 2005 and the years afterwards, and says, "Let's stop living in the past. Let's start living in the present. I'll challenge your new golden boy to a match right now, and I shut him up for you, or shut him up." So they get into a match, and then Rob Van Dam looks like he's gonna hit the 5-star frog splash, and I know he's gonna miss. So Seth Rollins moves out of the way, and then hits the curb stomp on Rob Van Dam. Then, as he goes to the pin, Dean Ambrose comes out, and when you start hearing the fans cheer after a heel hits the finisher and is going to win, as a heel not actually cheered for too much, then someone's coming out. So Dean Ambrose comes out and starts beating down on Seth Rollins, and then beats down on him pretty much throughout the ringside. Referees push him away into the stand or the fans. He goes back and he's like, "You knew with Dean Ambrose he was going to turn around and go." So he goes and he climbs on the announce table and jumps on Seth Rollins and starts beating him down. Then he gets in the ring, and I thought he was going to take a shortcut, but he didn't, to get to Seth Rollins. But he grabs the mic and says, "Well, they might as well put me in the Money in the Bank ladder match now. Otherwise, because I'm going to be in Boston, and I'm going to walk into that match. It's not going to stop me from beating Seth Rollins down, climbing that ladder, grabbing the Money in the Bank briefcase, and walking out. I will ruin that match. I will ruin that pay-per-view. No more Mr. Nice Guy. So that leads to Seth Rollins talking with the Authority, Triple H, about allowing Dean Ambrose to enter the Money in the Bank ladder match, which you kind of thought was going to happen, but you didn't really know how it was going to play out. So you didn't know how Dean Ambrose was going to be allowed into the match, and that was something where not many wrestling, not many wrestling critics out there would have thought would have happened, which was Seth Rollins himself asking the Authority to allow Dean Ambrose in the match, and the Authority allowing Dean Ambrose in the matches. That's not something you kind of expect. That's kind of something you wish to happen, but don't think is gonna happen. But I guess it was one of those times where it actually ended up happening. So he talks about him, Dean Ambrose would come out and he didn't want to be at the ladder, getting the briefcase and then have Dean Ambrose ruin it for him, because based on wrestling history, he's not going to get back up on that ladder and grab the briefcase, which is something I would have heard Bo Dallas say, but nonetheless Seth Rollins said it. Excuse me. So Triple H says, you really want that to happen? And so Rollins he says something like, I need to keep an eye on him. I need to make sure he doesn't interfere. I need to control him. I controlled him in the Shield for a few years. I can do it again. So Triple H allows him in the match, and that's what happened. And I thought there was going to be a 7th entrant, and I guess I was right. And even the critics of the wrestling critics who didn't think that was going to be how Dean Ambrose got in the match, still knew that Dean Ambrose was going to get in the match. So I think I was right, or still thought that he was going to be in the match. So afterwards, Bad News Barrett fought Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship after Dolph Ziggler beat him on SmackDown, and so it was going to the end of the match. Dolph Ziggler hit a Famouser, and then he went to go jump into Barrett in the corner. Barrett got the bull hammer and then pinned Dolph Ziggler. So Bad News Barrett is now still the Intercontinental Champion. So I kind of expected that bull hammer to come right then and there. And then afterwards, Vicky Guerrero has an interview about her match with Stephanie McMahon. Randy Orton came out and he said during the end, I would say it was nice knowing you, but you and I both know that would be a lie. Didn't really know what that kind of signified, because Randy Orton wasn't the one facing Stephanie McMahon, but I kind of thought at that point Randy Orton's going to have something to do with it. But I guess it wasn't really anything like that. I don't think you're going to see the last of Vicky Guerrero. No matter how many of you guys think, great, we've seen the last of her, we don't want her back. You kind of do after tonight. It's kind of like, she was annoying, but I'm going to kind of miss her now that she's gone. Kind of like something else that's very sad and very depressing, so I don't want to say it because, yeah. But anyways, excuse me. We enter the third hour at 10 o'clock, which is my Eastern time, which is the time. And afterwards, Stephanie McMahon faces Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero enters with Eddie Guerrero's theme song, and I'm like, yes! I wanted to hear that theme song. We haven't heard it for like almost 10 years, so I wanted that theme song to come right back. And so she enters with the theme song. All she was missing was a lowrider. That's the only thing that would have made it perfect. But at the end, you really didn't want to get that lowrider dirty, because that's not going to be something where you want to have somebody else clean it, because then they're going to charge you more because you're driving a lowrider. Don't know how Eddie Guerrero did it with all the sweat, but I guess he put up with it. Anyways, Vicky Guerrero enters with the theme song, and then Tiffany McMahon comes out with her Tally dress, or I don't know, that many fashion designers. So she comes out with this dress, the same dress she was wearing at the beginning of the night, and I'm like, I kind of should have seen this coming. So before the match, I was like, all right, she's not gonna wrestle. She's gonna be in that clothes and all the dress and everything. So she comes out with the dress, the heels, and as usual, the announcer's like, she's gonna wrestle in that, acting clueless or clueless, and she gets Rosa Mendez, Layla, and Alicia Fox to come out and do her dirty work. So they all come to the ring, and then pretty much they have Vicky cornered. They try to throw Vicky Guerrero into the mud pile. Oh yeah, the match was not going to be held in the ring. It was going to be one of those, I forgot to mention, it was going to be one of those mud pool things. Like, remember those things you had in the Attitude Era where you had women, back then, they were wearing almost nothing. They were pretty much naked because it was the Attitude Era. They would go and wrestle in this mud pool thing. Ugh, gosh, beep. So they had this match, and I think normally those matches are held in the pool, not outside. But anyways, the first one to be thrown into the pool would lose. So Vicky Guerrero is being picked up and lifted, and so she gets down somehow and then pushes Rosa Mendez in, and then Layla, and then Alicia Fox. And then she goes, yes, 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 and Stephanie McMahon kind of jabs her with the foot. I guess she kind of caught her in the heel because she kind of went to the lower back, which is probably where the heel connected. Then pushed Vicky Guerrero into the mud pool and fired her. And as Vicky Guerrero walked away, Stephanie McMahon kept going to the back of her and saying, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, hey, goodbye. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye. Kind of like what Edge did to Dolph Ziggler. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye. Anyways, then Vicky Guerrero, being fired, she has nothing to lose. She kind of turns around, and Stephanie McMahon sees the pile of mud behind her, and she's like, wait a minute, Vicky. Considering retirement, Vicky Guerrero grabs her by the waist and then grabs her by the hair and tosses her in the mud pile, in the mud pool. I was like, alright, how did Vince convince his own daughter to do this? At that point, I was like, wait a minute, how did Vince even, did Vince even know about this? Because you wouldn't have really expected the $1 billion princess to go in a mud pool unless it was the Attitude Era. And she walks out, starts doing the Latino Heat dance, as I like to call it, with Eddie Guerrero's theme song. Also, the announcers were like, last time I heard that was in 2005. Yeah, same thing here. And, kind of walking out, that was, I think Vicky Guerrero got one of the biggest applauds and pushes in her career when she said, at the beginning of the evening when she said, the one name that people respect in the WWE more than McMahon is Guerrero. And says a few insults to Stephanie, and then at the end she's like, now if you will, excuse me! And I'm gonna actually miss hearing that. She gets off, she's like, hey, Latino, walks to the back, and then as they pan the camera to Stephanie in the pool of mud, it's kind of funny to see. She's kind of pulling the referees in there, she's like, I forgot what she said, but the announcer was like, I guess Vicky got the last laugh. And then afterwards, as Stephanie McMahon walked away, we had a match with Jack Swagger and Kofi Kingston, and Jack Swagger beat Kofi Kingston after putting in the lock and won by submission. And then afterwards, we had a Money in the Bank promo. Kind of late to see this, but Paige will face Naomi and Cameron. Naomi with Cameron for the Divas Championship. And I guess I could kind of see Paige winning the match. I think only because I feel like now that Cameron's kind of got this attitude, she's going to turn on Naomi and cost Naomi the match. And also, thankfully, Paige got on the microphone so we could kind of explore who she is a little bit. Because now you had the microphone in her hands. Well, not in her hands, but you had her on the microphone. People can now relate to who she is and now know who she is. So that's always good to have something. That's always something that's good to have with a champion that's not too well known. So it's kind of like if Cesaro were to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I don't know if it's likely or not, but it's kind of hard to have somebody who's also, with Cesaro being talked, not even talking, having Paul Heyman talk for him, kind of having somebody who doesn't talk too much, also doesn't express things about their character besides on NXT. It's kind of hard to have a champion with that kind of person. So I could see Paige turning on Naomi. Cameron turning on Naomi and winning Paige the match. And then afterwards, we had an interview with Alberto Del Rio, and then Cesaro came out, and Alberto calls Cesaro Heyman's puppet. Cesaro says, "I only speak 5 languages, and none of them are loser," as the two of them kind of get into a fighting mood, and I thought I could see them turning on each other in a main event. Guess I was wrong, but anyways, afterwards they said, they had a promo that Sheamus will face Bray Wyatt on SmackDown this Friday, the final SmackDown before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Then we had Damien Sandow. Alright, for those of you who didn't see Raw, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to guess what his gimmick was this week. And I'll give you a clue. It's something involving Washington, D.C., because they were in Washington, D.C. this week. I'll give you 5 seconds. He came out as Honest Abraham Lincoln. And he said that he will not let anyone decide the fate of his career. He would rather spend another night in Ford's Theater than let any one of the fans or people in the stands choose the direction of his career. Well, you won't let a bunch of fans who know a lot about the WWE choose the way of your career, but you will let a bunch of directors and bunch of script writers and storyline bookers to decide your career and pretty much have it go down because it's their job, and because, you're too lazy to go pitch an idea to them. Excuse me. I don't think that's going to be how it works. But anyways, afterwards, Big E came out, and then Big E beat Damien Sandow by pinfall, and so Big E had an interview, I guess, and then Rusev and Lana, talking about Rusev and Lana disrespected our country earlier in the night, and says that we will not be stopped or anything similar to that. We will not be stopped. We will not be defeated. USA, we won't be defeated. We won't be offended. We are strong. We won't be defeated. We would not be stopped. And afterwards, Lana came out and distracted Big E so that Rusev could take control of Big E, and then he put Big E in the Accolade. Big E, I did think I saw him tap out. I think he smacked Rusev's calf once, and then kind of had that kind of grip, like I do when I'm in a submission. But anyways, afterwards we went to commercial. Then we came back, interview with John Cena, and John Cena talked about how there was going to be a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but he didn't say that John Cena was going to win the WWE Championship, or he was going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Which makes me think John Cena is going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship because he's the only person who hasn't said, tonight, I'm going to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So that makes me kind of think John Cena is going to do it. Kind of expected. And afterwards, Sheamus, John Cena, and Roman Reigns beat Alberto Del Rio, Cesaro, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt. After Sheamus pinned Cesaro, then Kane came out and attacked everyone. And then the Authority, Triple H, came out and said, and now the 8th entrant in the ladder match at the pay-per-view, Kane. And as Kane tried to do his thing, Roman Reigns hit him with a spear, then did this believe the Shield or believe in Roman Reigns thing. And so that ended the night. And it was, I guess, a good way to end it, giving Roman Reigns the control and the advantage from the last Raw, from the last Raw before Money in the Bank, or before the pay-per-view. And so I think it was a good way to end Raw. I think it was a strong way to end Raw, and I think it was the kind of way to end Raw that you would want to have. A few things in this in this night, I guess, that kind of caught my eye was how the fact that they put Vicky Guerrero and Stephanie McMahon in this kind of promo thing. That makes me kind of wonder if Vicky Guerrero is going to try to start a rivalry with Stephanie McMahon now. And maybe now it starts something where Stephanie McMahon and the Authority look for a new whipping post, kind of to take their frustrations out on, or kind of have them kind of, I guess, kind of say, have someone to get them things, give them a massage, get them a coffee, something like that. So now either Vicky Guerrero is going to come back and lose like a stipulation to the Authority, and then have to go back to being the one that does everything for them, or she's going to try to go and get somebody else to do it all for them. Someone maybe like Brad Maddox, someone along like those lines. Something else that caught my eye was Big E and Rusev. I think they're gonna have a match at the pay-per-view now, as well as Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. That was a good that was a good kind of way to go about with their rivalry, and I think it's going to maintain. I don't know if Seth Rollins, considering it's not the championship match, but if Seth Rollins were to win the Money in the Bank, I don't think it would hurt the rivalry. I don't think it would stop the rivalry. But if it were to stop the rivalry in the WWE's eyes, then they will not put Seth Rollins as Mr. Money in the Bank, because I think they have something going with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins that they don't really want to mess up, and that they don't think fans would want to have them be messed up. So, it's been 3 weeks since we've stopped believing in the Shield, and anyway, guys, that's what kind of caught my eye tonight, as well as the Roman Reigns spear on Kane, because that kind of thought, what does this have for Roman Reigns? Because if you think about it, Raw is their is the WWE's flagship show, which means it's their biggest show out of the two, or out of the three. The other one's on their network, and the other one is not as well known as Raw, but is still the number one show on that respective night. But I think, considering he had the last word in the flagship show, the biggest show, I think, not the big show, but their show, the WWE's flagship show, I think that he may have some momentum going in for the Money in the Bank. Don't know if he's going to become the champion, because I think it is soon, but it doesn't, if the WWE's going to kind of go on this unpredictable role, then that kind of means that there is a chance that Roman Reigns, or Cesaro, or Alberto Del Rio, or Sheamus could end up winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, even Bray Wyatt as well. If they're going to go on that roll, then that would be the best choice, instead of having Randy Orton or John Cena be the champion, because the predictability, if they're going to go through wrestling critics' predictability, then they're probably going to have either Cesaro or Del Rio be, or maybe even Bray Wyatt be the winner, if they're going to have that kind of unpredictability. If they're going to have the unpredictability to fans, as in they don't see too much or notice too much, they just kind of watch it and be like, yeah, you're going to win, then I think the unpredictability would be... Actually, no. I think the unpredictability for the fans would be having either Cesaro or Alberto Del Rio win. If you have the unpredictability of wrestling critics, I think, considering they know a lot more and they have a lot more information and they notice a lot more, then I think you would have either Bray Wyatt or Roman Reigns or Cesaro or Alberto Del Rio win. But at the same time, then they could take Cesaro and Alberto Del Rio's predictability and kind of, have either Roman Reigns or Bray Wyatt win. Now, if you're going to be predictable, you can either have Randy Orton or John Cena win. More than likely, it's going to be John Cena, because I don't see the WWE taking that unpredictable road, too far. And also, sadly, now that Daniel Bryan, excuse me, is not the champion anymore, I think they're going to have Cena carry the championship just long enough until Daniel Bryan's back and beats him for the championship, because I think, considering they wanted Daniel Bryan to have the championship and keep the championship while he's injured, technically sadly they had to take it away from him because the injury was too bad. Being that they wanted to keep the championship on Daniel Bryan means that I think Daniel Bryan, once he comes back, and possibly instead of when he's fully healed, I think at that moment in time, he will be able to have his match and become the champion again, because I think they had something going with Daniel Bryan. I think they had it going somewhere, and if Daniel Bryan didn't get injured, I know for a fact that he would have been the champion after this Sunday. You want to know why? Because after Money in the Bank, I live in Hartford, Connecticut, so they're coming down to Hartford, Connecticut for that Monday Night Raw after the Money in the Bank. So before Daniel Bryan was stripped of the championship, they promoted him as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Daniel Bryan. They also had the Shield. They also had something about, in a live event, they had the Shield versus the Wyatt family. But since Seth Rollins betrayed the Shield, they took off the Shield as promotions, so they kind of cut it down to and then others like Kane, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and more. And then they had Daniel Bryan no more be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And they also have on Monday Night Raw, because where I live in Hartford, Connecticut, it's promoted now, or it's been promoted for a while. I think that, well, actually, I don't think. The match that's going to occur, I believe, next Monday on Raw is going to be Seth Rollins. I believe it's Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and John Cena versus Seth Rollins, somebody else, and somebody else. But I know that the 2/3 of the Shield will be reunited next Wednesday or next Monday, and John Cena will be joining them. They didn't have anybody as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, but they also didn't promote Randy Orton, so it's possible that Randy Orton's going to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It's very possible. So, with that being said, nothing more. I think it was an okay show. It was interesting, and I didn't have a problem with it. It's not like I disliked it, but I think they could have done better. I think they could have carried it more. And I think the ending was strong. I think they had a strong ending. But the way that they carried the rest of the show out wasn't the best way to go. I think they could have had a lot more, especially with the Seth Rollins-Dean Ambrose rivalry. They could have had Dean Ambrose get on Seth Rollins to the point where security had to come out, especially from the crowd, or fake ones, from the crowd, and they had to tear him apart, or they had to get him apart. I think they could have done more with that. Although I think Seth Rollins, meeting with the Authority, Triple H, was very strong. I think that had an interest towards Money in the Bank. I think Dean Ambrose's promo was strong. I don't really know about Big E and Rusev, because those kind of a mid-card rivalry. And also, I think they had a strong main event. Their main event was okay. They had a strong main event. They had the talent in there wasn't the best, but I think it was carried well. And afterwards, when Kane came out, I think that was very unpredictable. But they didn't let Kane have too much. I don't think Kane's going to become the champion, and I forgot completely about Kane as in the Money in the Bank. But I don't think he's young enough still to carry the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because I don't think they were going anywhere with the Daniel Bryan-Kane rivalry. I think they had something else in mind for Daniel Bryan, but that's why I don't think Kane's going to carry the championship. If I'm wrong, then I read a question about whether it was, is Kane or The Undertaker, going to have another major title reign of any sort, and somebody said no. Have they heard of the age of them? Or have you seen the age of them? I was like, probably not going to happen. If it happens, then probably going to be The Undertaker. Guess I was wrong. But anyway, that was that. So they had Roman Reigns go out on top, and I think that was a good, strong way to end it. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to stop the review here. It's been pretty long. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. This was my review on the June 23rd, 2014 edition of WWE Raw, remember to like, favorite, and please subscribe. I'm going to be doing more of these reviews, and they're going to be a lot more interesting as well. So please subscribe. Just because I have 10 subscribers doesn't really mean anything. I just started putting out reviews, so I guess you could think these reviews are pretty cool. If you don't, then I guess you don't have to subscribe. At least like and favorite these videos, and please subscribe. It'll mean a lot to me, and it'll really kind of brighten my day, I guess. Anyway, guys, also thank you for the views. I've surpassed 500 views, again, on my YouTube channel. So, with that being said, thank you guys. Remember to like, favorite, and subscribe for more. I'll leave the link to Dalyxman's channel down below, and I will also leave the link to the Unitar's website down below. Anyway, guys, that's that. Thank you. This is Zach Hardy, signing off.